Most of the bike reviews that I do are more of high-end bikes, but I'm on a short trip and I rented a Hardrock, Specialized Hardrock Sport. I think this is a 2013 model, so I thought for the heck of it I would just do a really quick review on this bike. I'm riding in Alamuchee, New Jersey. It's actually where I grew up, and drove over, took an extra day to ride some of the trails over here, and so I rented this bike. I'll just do a real quick overview of this bike, because the thing that's cool about these kind of bikes, this thing probably is about $700, I think, is the retail on it. But you know, it's at a price point where someone can get into mountain biking without having to spend too much. Now, I typically ride full suspension, an aluminum hardtail. I haven't been back on one of these in a while, and been riding a steel hardtail, but not aluminum. But you know, I was actually surprised with how well it rode. Let me talk about a few of the good points and a few of the things that I didn't like about it. Just to go over the negatives first, I had some problems with the shifting. When I would stop pedaling and start again, sometimes it would skip on the chainring or the cassette. You know, I don't have tools with me, so I couldn't really do a serious adjustment on it. I did do some tweaks with the barrel adjusters and got it a little bit better. So I don't know if that's just a problem with adjustment or just the fact that I'm used to, you know, higher end stuff. Like I have SRAM XO on my race bike, but you know, it was livable. You know, when I'm cranking hard, it wasn't skipping. It was just when I would stop pedaling. These grips are real comfortable, but they turned a lot when I was riding. You know, either some glue or replacing them with lock-ons would be something that you'd have to do. The fork, you know, for a $700 bike, it's an 80 millimeter fork, and it's not bad. It's not an air fork, and so the front end's pretty heavy. And you know, weight is the thing that, you know, with a bike like this is going to be a downside if you're used to a light bike. If you're not used to really high-end bikes, I mean, a bike like this, if you're just getting into riding, you're really not going to know what you're missing. So this is a really good bike for the money. But back to the fork, you know, it works pretty good. It doesn't have a lot of damping characteristics in it, so it's pretty springy, and it's only 80 millimeters of travel. And the lockout, if you've got weight on the fork, I found that it was hard to lock it out. You actually have to like stop pedaling, get off the bike, lock it or unlock it. But it does work. I mean, when it's locked out, it was fully locked out. So if you're riding on the road, that's you know, a good thing to do. Just lock it out. What else on this bike? The brakes. I was really impressed actually with the hydraulic disc brakes. This is the 29er disc model, and you know, the brakes aren't quite as powerful as my Shimano XTs, but I was really impressed with the feel and the modulation for you know, again, a $700 bike. So not bad on the brakes. The seat, Specialized makes really good saddles. It's really comfortable saddle. Really good traction with the tires, pretty low rolling resistance on the tires. I'm not a fan of flat bars, but you know, it was fine. So riding this bike, you know, again, the weight on the climbs is something that, you know, you got to get used to. But like I said before, if you don't know what you're missing, then it's really not an issue. And like I said at the beginning, you know, this is a great bike for someone who's getting into riding. And you know, it is a 29er, and I know there's a lot of talk about 650B right now, but if I were getting a hardtail, I would definitely get a 29er. I think 650B is going to be more for full suspension, especially like the 120 to 160 millimeter travel range. You know, the trails I was riding here are really rocky in some sections, some pretty big rock gardens, and you know, the 29er just does a much better job getting over those kind of rocks. And you know, coming down a hill, I mean, you know, my arms by the end of the day were kind of sore from you know, an 80 millimeter fork on a hardtail. But you know, the bike is pretty sure-footed when descending. It's just you can't bomb rocky stuff like you could on a full suspension. But you know, again, if you're getting into riding, it really helps develop your riding skills. I mean, you can't be sloppy on a bike like this. You know, you're powering up climbs, and it's got pretty good traction. Not as good as a full suspension when there's you know, some rocky stuff or real rooty stuff. But you know, it does a pretty good job climbing. And you know, like I said, descending, you're gonna really work on your handling skills, picking the right line, you know, standing up over the bike, and not being lazy. And that makes you a great rider. And then when you can you know, have more money to throw into a full suspension bike, you know, you're going to have good riding skills. So you know, when I got into riding years and years ago, everything was a 26-inch hardtail, and you know, these kind of bikes, though they may be a little bit heavier, everything else is better than what I started on. So if you're just getting into riding and your budget, you know, you can't spend more than $800-900, this is a really good bike, because you know, when you get into riding, you gotta also put some money into shoes and a helmet and some shorts and stuff like that. So you know, this is a really good bike to get you into riding. I don't know what pedals it comes with. I brought my own Shimano XTs, but like I said, a really good bike for the money if you're getting into riding. So that's my really quick and dirty review of the Specialized Hardrock 29er Sport with the disc brakes.